Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Reese. Today we have a very special, beautiful Scissor Champ guest. You might have seen her on Ink Master 5 bajillion times, but to me, she is the Scissor Champ, the amazing, lovely, beautiful Angel Rose. Super stoked. Here we go.
I love talking to you. This is a great excuse. So, and the fact that other people will, I know, well, because the thing is, like, you and I often get going talking about things that are really important. We're both very, very passionate about the tattoo industry and artists and all that stuff. So then, oftentimes, I'm like, man, if someone just pointed a microphone at us right now, So, I'm grateful to be.
I know we were literally just talking about something, and I was like, "Wait, let me just start recording this now before before we lose the mojo," which would never happen. We honestly, and I totally thank you for saying that because we are so obsessed. So I'm sure that most people know who you are, but just give us a little rundown, a little some
Okay,
about who you
so
are, what you do, all that kind of good
my
stuff.
name is Angel Rose, and I live and work in Portland, Oregon, as of right now. A lot of people know me because I went on TV, same as you, and but I
What
went on Ink
show is that?
Master like only 3 times. I lost some times. No, I was kidding. But
Oh.
the main part is that like my presence on television, like although I've been involved in competition television shows, my main goal was making making waves regardless of the outcome of the competition. My main goal was like people will leave feeling inspired by what I did, whether it works or not. And taking that into outside of Ink Master, it's very important to me now to be one of those people that inspires other artists like myself, and to I want to be one of those people that kind of helps weave the tattoo industry a little closer together. That's like something that's really important to me. So I've done a lot of work on all those fronts. I'm kind of one of those people, like I just get going, I get these crazy ideas, and I'm always doing so much. So for whatever reason you may know of me, here I am. And yeah, I'm excited to talk.
Yay. And that's actually brings a great segue in. I would love to know, like, were you always like that? Were you always the type of person that just had an idea and you just went for it? Like, did you ever have a doubt? Did you ever, or do you have doubts? Like, how did you like kind of shape this part of you that was like, fuck it mode? Like, even if I have fears, I'm full sending anyway. I'm putting both feet in. Like, how did that kind of
It
come
comes
about
from
for
a
you?
lot of things. I was raised by a single dad. So I actually think like this is something psychologically that I talk about with friends here and there, is that like um, sometimes there's a narrative, passed from like mother to daughter that's kind of like, say for example, like, the like my parents, or like, people my age, their parents, the wives sort of were housewives and that was their calling. And so I do think that sometimes they sort of accidentally pass that mindset on to their daughters. And it's kind of like, oh, you need a rich husband, or you need to know these house skills and blah, blah, blah. I was raised by a single father with a fuck ton of ambition. And it just anytime I wanted to do something, he was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it," and it really stuck with me. Simultaneously, he owned and ran a martial arts school my whole life, so I from a very young age. Um, just to give you kind of like, if you're wanting to know about my background, an example is like, my dad used to take me to like AA meetings and stuff when I was really young. And we were at the community center and I saw a Taekwondo class. I was 4. And I was like, I want to do that. I saw people punching and kicking. I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. I was like, I loved Dragon Ball Z and shit. I was like, I want to go fight. And I went, and I immediately became obsessed with doing really well. And my dad would, like, outside of class, help me like further my education so I could be better at it, so that like when I went into class I was the best kid, and he helped me do that. And then I got really into, just to give you an example, I got really into board breaking, like breaking pieces of wood with my fists at 4 years old. So, like, my dad would go to Home Depot and buy me planks of wood to punch in our living room regularly. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for what we're talking about. I think, like, how is it not? Whereas, like, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I was just like, let's go get it. I can literally split pieces of wood with my fists, and I'm 4 years old. So it's like, we started there. Um, and I think that encouragement from my father really, really had a huge part to do with it, because I wasn't just learning things in my Taekwondo classes. I was also learning things outside of the classes. And I knew that if I committed more time and more effort, then I would inevitably I would have an edge. I would be really, really good at it. And that, like I said, is just an example. It was this way with anything I picked up. So, I have to say, like, it was my upbringing, but it was also the fact that, like, I didn't meet much resistance when I tried stuff. I was like, I want to do this. And they were like, great, let's go. Let's go do it, and let's do it the best. And my dad used to always tell me, like, well, somebody's got to be the best, right? Like, he was like, he did. And in my head, as a very, very absorbent sponge of a child, I was like, you're right. Somebody has to be the best one in the class. Somebody has to rise above. There's always that, and so I was always striving to that. Now, of course, I don't ever assume that I'm the best. That's super naive. But it's like that's an actual person that is, you know what I mean? Like, whoever is the person that we look up to, say you and I look up to someone like Nico Hurtado or Brian Ashley, one of these people. We've
Mhm.
both met these people and shaken their hands and spent personal time with them. They are just a person who is really fucking good at something. They have
Mhm.
two hands, and so do I. And I think that all of the social bullshit around everything else that's like, oh, they're different from me. They've done more than me. I'm never going to be that way. I've been sort of free from that a lot of my life, because I've just always thought of, whoever's succeeding is just another person, and I can do that too. So that's the long way of answering your question.
No, it's a beautiful way of answering. I love long ways. We like to know the
Yeah,
ins and outs of it. And honestly, like it's really beautiful because you even offered for people, that maybe hadn't had like maybe a similar upbringing. It's like, let me normalize the fact that this person has two hands and they are just as human as me. And let's not negate the fact that since I do know you, you work your fucking ass off. You
yeah,
work so hard behind the scenes. Like the things you guys think it just comes natural. This girl works her ass off. I will tell you right now,
yeah.
I've seen it. I'm like, holy moly. And this is like, and I love this like obsession that you have when you get something on your mind and you're like, no, it could be better. It could be better. I mean, I even watched you, I believe it was like your first color portrait, like dog color portrait. I think that one time that I'd
You
seen
love
you
that, yeah.
and I was just like, this is your first time. And you were just like, yes, it's good. You were like, and you do this beautiful thing where you're like, and I don't know if I don't know if it was for me, but I was just like, this was the one thing that I did notice was that you were like, yes, let me give myself like, yes, this is good, but I know where I'm going to do better. Like you already knew where you were going to do better in it, but you weren't just berating yourself to doing better. So like you had a really beautiful, almost like a really nice self-talk in that moment. And I was just like, you know what I realized? I was like, wow, I realized I have something similar, but it worked. I had to work at that because like I had to work at like not putting yourself down so much and not comparing yourself to other people and realizing that like there is this, I don't know, I guess there's like this way that we walk, this mindset that we have in order to really, rise above the ceiling that we built ourselves, And so that's something that like I admire very much about you.
Well, thank you. And you know what it is too, is like, I was very excited, one, that I like did a pretty good job at that little animal portrait. I was like, oh shit, cool.
It was.
But I was, I've had people ask me this, like, Angel, how do you deal with not being where you want to be yet? And I'm like, well, if you ask me where I want to be, it's pretty fucking far out there. I'm like, ever since I was a child, you ask me what my goals are, and I say I'm going to change the world. So, obviously I'm not there yet, right? So how do I deal with not being there yet? And the truth of it is that it excites me. It excites me to know where the bar is, and that I get to climb up to it. You know what I mean? And so in that moment, looking at that portrait, I was stoked that I did a good job, but I was also stoked on like, holy fuck, this opens up so much for me. And this now is like
Mm.
something for me to work towards. Like I don't delight in having succeeded. I delight in the process of getting there, in the person that I build on the way there. That's the exciting part to me, and I think that's where that kind of love comes from, where I'm like, oh, so cool. I can do it like this next time, and it'll be even better. I'm so excited about that.
Are you ready to grow and scale your tattoo business? Quality clients, quality content, quality brand. You gotta stop acting like a preteen when it comes to your business and switch gears into that high level leader and tattoopreneur you desire to be. You gotta focus on building a community, those die-hard relationships. You gotta understand how to create authentic, intentional content, because that's where most of our marketing is. And then understanding the strategics behind it, the structure behind it, who you are as a person in order to lead this business. If you are ready for all of that, InkSpired Academy is so for you. This is my 10-week signature program. We're no longer posting just to post or just to keep up, while quietly it drains you and leads you to the type of results you really don't want in your business. We're here to make unique, authentic connections. You want to bring more wealth, impact, community, and freedom to your tattoo business? InkSpired Academy is now open for pre-enrollment, early bird, baby.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not completely free from like self-criticism. Like, it totally happens. Um, it's just, especially when I'm learning something new, that's when I get excited. That's when it's like new. I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of where that's where that comes from.
Oh, I love it. I think that the part where you're saying it's the journey on who you're becoming as you're getting to that level, and that's the exciting part. Like, that's a core value for you. And I always tell a lot of like my students and things like this, like, what are your, like, asking like what's your core values? For me, it's like mastery, excellency. Like, I just want to master, I want to grow at it, I want to do it the best that I can in my ability at that moment, and then just continue to do better every single day if I, as like baby steps as much as possible. And so for me, that's like that mastery aspect. You're just like, I love the journey. It's not about the destination. It's really just like how you are. And that fact that you love it so much, you just leading with that excitement, and you're leading with that joy, which I find that a lot of people forget to do because they see others and they compare their journeys to that other person, and they see others and they're like, oh, that's that person's success, that's going to be my success, instead of making their own. So your
Mhm.
success, like your world changing work, has nothing to do with anybody else. I mean, you might get some ideas and inspiration, but your world changing work is like, that's what you're comparing yourself to. You're just like, that's where I want to go. There is no comparison. I'm here for it all. I'm celebrating everybody else on their pathway to world changing work, and let's all do it
Mhm.
together, because it's a communal factor,
Mhm.
you
And you
know?
know what, too? Like, between me and other artists, like, I look at other artists and I think like a true love for the craft is also where that comes into play, because it's like when I'm learning new techniques, or when I'm like practicing something and I'm having a payoff, or I'm not having a payoff with the new things I'm trying, it all comes back to like, I am truly excited about learning to tattoo every single day.
Mhm.
And I think that people get really hung up on the payoff, on the, I want to be making the big bucks. I want to be blue check mark, fucking famous on Instagram. I want to, and that was never it for me. That happened as a byproduct of me having a lot of audacity. Um, but what honed the craft was me being like, oh shit, oh my god, I can't wait to do another one. Like, oh, I'm almost there. Like, if I do one more, I might get that much better. And
Mhm.
that's I think where people lose it sometimes, because they just want the payoff. And I think people see me and they think, for a lot of people, it was like, oh, Angel blew up overnight. And it wasn't that way, you know what I mean? It certainly was fast, but it was also because I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like, I had
Mhm.
a tattoo machine in my hand most of the time for the first, like, 3 years of my career. And I didn't, you know what I mean? And that's just, I'm not saying that people should do that because it wasn't healthy, but like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how that shit happens. Like, there was actually work done. Like, when people, want to work, 3 days a week, and they want to, like, do a little tattoo here, do a couple hours there. I'm like, well, it's just gonna inevitably be slower. But the reason that I was so aggressive about it was because I was ambitious, was because I was in
Mhm.
love with it. And I always say, like, there's beauty in the struggle, and that's kind of like where I reside always, because I'm not like standing at the top looking down at everyone. I am nowhere near where I'm going to be, and I know that.
And I love the declaration of it too. You're just like, I'm nowhere near where I'm going to be. Not that, not, there's like no if, ands, or buts about whether you're going to get there. It's just, yeah, it's inevitable. I'm on my way and I'm going
Well,
to
yeah,
get there.
and
And
that's how much I fucking love it. That's really
yeah.
truly it. Nothing's gonna stop me. I love it more than anything in this life.
Mm.
Nothing's gonna
Oh,
stop me.
yeah, no, fuck yeah. No, you're like, your energy is like literally like lifting me up. I'm like, yes, let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Because I always take, like, me and Kayla, my sister, we always end the day with like world domination in a loving way. And it's like, we're like world domination in a loving way because we know that like what we're doing is world changing work, and we value so much about like what it is that we do, what it is that we offer, whether it be both in the like both, like for me as far as like tattooing and like as an educator as well and a coach, it's like both sides of it. I'm like, I want to give the best value, the most transformational experience and artwork and love into these things that I I can't not. Like if I don't, I'm doing myself and the whole entire world a disservice by not being this in love with a thing. And if I'm not in love with it, then figure out what you are in love with and shift and change and evolve. Because I think that that's the whole point. It's like there's going to be new iterations of ourselves as we grow and we go on this journey. And every time we reach a new level, we're not meant to stay the same. We're not meant to stay where we were or where we are. We're meant to continuously find the new version of ourselves and find that you know who we'd like to be, and constantly just like, yeah, I can't believe it. I've met her, and now I'm on to the next thing, and now I'm on to the next thing. And I think that that's just, it's when you can like just feel so alive like that in everything that you're doing. That's where the true essence is, and that's how actually you end up changing the world just in general, because of how much you love it, and it inspires so many others to love as much as whatever it is that they're doing. Because I believe we have all different types of modalities, creative modalities, whether that's tattooing, whether that's education, whatever it is that you do, as long as you are so fucking in love with it and you're so like growth oriented in it, you are going to shift lives whether you know it or not. So I
Absolutely.
love that. Go ahead.
There's this quote which, like, um I'm sure most people have read The Alchemist, but
Mm,
it is my favorite book. I read it every year, and my one of my favorite quotes is just like, "The spirit of the world is nourished by people's happiness."
mm,
And it really rings true. It's like, I didn't do this, like I said, you and I aren't doing this shit so that people can look at us and be like, "Ooh, it's them." Like, no, we're doing this because we love it, and that love is what is infecting everything. You know what I mean? That love is, I do that because I see it around me. That love affects people, and it's like this domino effect in every direction. And I truly believe that, like, I think people sometimes look at people like you and I, and they think, "Oh, wow, how vain, like, how, self-centered to, like, be so like, I'm fucking doing it." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't care, because I had the courage to want this and you didn't." You know what I
mm.
mean? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's true.
Full body
People,
chills.
well, and this is something that I taught in my last seminar. I was like, people, you can't be afraid to want stuff. it's like the first step. If you are like, I'm gonna be successful, like you have to really be like, no, I deserve that, and I'm gonna go get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you and I have a very strong grasp on all that. You know what I mean? And I think that it's one of my first steps with people. I'm like, where do you want to be? I want you to ask yourself, like, what do you want more than anything? And then you reverse engineer. That's all you do. You know what I mean? It's like,
It is so true. It's so true. And I find that, the biggest question is like, I just don't know what I want. And I'm like, well, do you know who you are? And that alone can, like, just the journey of just like, let me just figure out who I am and deeply move into that and see, just see and ask the questions. And what would, if by myself all alone, if I just asked, what if I could have anything in the fucking world, what would it be? Who do I want to be when I get that thing? And it's like, I think what it is that there's this like blockness and like the throat chakra where it's like, I can't even declare it out loud because I'm so afraid of the judgment and the fear of not a fear of failing and all of this other stuff. And then it just stops them. So they're like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, 99% of people don't believe that they are capable of a, achieving the things that they want. And so instead they settle for mediocre. 99% of the people, so we're talking about 99% of the planet is in competition for mediocre. Like, why not just shoot for the moon? And if you miss, you hit the stars. Like,
it's
that's
like
I
Dad
think
said, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got
yes,
to do
somebody's got to do it.
it. And I know that sounds vain. Like I know it does, but the people we look up to, there's small amount of people, that we that really speak to our soul. And it's like this the spirit of the world is nourished by people's happiness. Why would I not want to do that? And I think that one of the keys to my success also has been that I've not been afraid of failure. It's not ever spoken to me. I don't do things to win or to succeed. I do them to do them. Um, I do them because it motivates. I'm not motivated by the end result. Like I'm motivated by doing stuff and trying stuff. I owned a shop in LA. I had to close it after 2 years because of COVID. And like people sometimes don't know that about me. Do I feel like I failed? No. You know what I mean? Was that a failure of me? No. I mean, obviously that was circumstantial, but I don't, I did Ink Master 3 times. I don't have an Ink Master title. Am I a failure? No. Because I wanted to go fucking compete because I like doing that shit and because it was a fucking sick opportunity for me to be the youngest one, the least experienced in a room full of badasses and actually test what I could do.
Mm.
The point is like it's not you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
it's not the payoff and it's not what am I, a failure? No. Nobody looks at Angel and I mean, so maybe some people do, but generally people don't look at me and go, "Oh yeah, that's the bitch that lost Ink Master 3 times." Like,
No way. Nobody looks at it like that. The only people that actually look at it, failure is an opinion, I think. For me, it's
yeah.
like that's an opinion. Like the I have the sovereign power within me to choose how I look at life, how I perceive life. And like you said, I have the fucking audacity to choose that I'm not a fucking failure no matter what I'm doing. That I get to
I,
choose. Yeah.
I see so much more. I respect people who try. I
Mm.
respect people who fail. I told someone one time, like, someone was having a conversation with me. He was a little drunk, but he was like, "Oh, I'll never be like you. You don't respect my work," and blah, blah, blah. I said, "I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. Okay, maybe I'm not, like, referencing your tattoos while I'm drawing, but I respect you as an artist. You know why?" He's like, "Why?" I was like, "Because you go to seminars and you care about being better. You could be the fucking worst tattooer. You could be just, like, terrible at it. But if you are committed to doing better, and if you are even a little bit better with every tattoo, I fucking respect you."
Mhm.
And that's what matters to me. People act like I'll go to guest spots and I'll go like look over the apprentice's shoulder or whatever, and they'll be like, don't look, you know? And I'm like, why? Why? I'm like, you're probably gonna teach me something, whether you know it or not. Like
Mhm.
all I care about is that like there's 100 different ways, there's 100 different processes to get to the same product. And if I'm not always a student, then I don't respect myself, quite frankly. You know what I mean? Like that's what matters to me.
Absolutely. Holy shit. That's profound in and of itself. I'm like, I know, but you're absolutely right. Like, I have zero self-respect for myself if I am not in the constant state of growth. I'm just respecting the things that I do and the things that I've built. If I'm not constantly in that growth, in that student mode, in that like I look at everybody as a masterpiece and a work in progress all at the same time. Like we're killing it, we're doing the thing, and of course I'm gonna have respect for you, no matter just so long as you're just like growth is what you seek. Like that is awesome. You want to get better at what you're doing. It's not just about the payoff. Like I find that I don't have any disrespect for anybody, to be perfectly
No,
honest with you. I'm just
no.
like even people's opinions about me or about themselves. I'm just like, listen, there are infinite amount of perspectives and in this world, and who says 2 plus 2 isn't 5? Maybe you're right. You know what I mean? Like, you know
Well,
what I
you
mean?
know,
So I'm just
no,
looking at it from that
exactly.
perspective.
I think that a lot of tattooers look at the industry in this way where it's like there's this upper crust of artists and they're all elitist and blah blah blah. And I'm like, sure, maybe people are like that, but it's just not me. Like
Mhm.
I'm an island kid. I am an island kid. I'm from a small town. Like I was taught to love everybody no matter what. You know what I mean? And I was like, I will be friendly and loving towards you no matter what. And I'm like, I really don't. The thing is that tattooing is a gift, right? And I do have kind of a stern opinion about the fact that we should, without any like shadow of a doubt, be trying to get better with every tattoo, because tattooing is a fucking gift and it is sacred.
Mhm.
Now, that much is true, right? Like, I'm like, I don't really respect artists who don't care about getting better, no matter what level they're
Mhm.
at. If they're at the top and they don't care about getting better, then fuck them. If they're at the bottom and they don't care about getting better, then fuck them. It's the same thing. But if they are at the bottom, if they started tattooing 20 minutes ago and they're like, I'm gonna be the best, I'm gonna be like, fuck yeah, you are, buddy. You know, like I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, take my hand, let's go. Like,
Yep.
you know, and I think I've been misunderstood in that way a couple times, but I do think that's kind of this the way that the social structure has sort of been laid out for a lot of people. I think a lot of artists are like,
Totally.
I'll never be like Lisa an angel. Blah. And
No, I
it's just not
understand
true.
where you're coming from. And I do, I honestly, I love that your passion is so like it's so dense around the gift of tattooing, because I do believe it is sacred. Like for me, it is a sacred exchange of transformative energy that we are should be really honored to be able to do. And honestly, I feel so blessed to have even found out I could draw, and then to even be able to do that on skin was just even more of like I still get in awe of it. I'm like, I can't believe some of the things that I do. I'm like, wow. And then yes,
Mhm.
also, but like, of course, because I'm gonna do better the next time and I'm gonna get good at this, and it's just like that's like how my mind rolls. It's like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. But also, of course, because that's just who I am. Like I choose to be better. I choose growth. I choose being a student. And I think that that's just like a mindset we all should have. And no matter what that comes, and then when you said that you have a lot of self-respect because of that mindset that you have, I feel like that gives so many others that permission to feel that too, that they don't have to be somewhere or be like this or be like the angels or whatever. Like they don't have to be anywhere to have that type of like really beautiful self-respect and stoke for what they're doing, but then also knowing that they're like excited for the journey to get better. And I think that that's just like fucking awesome. And another thing that I'd love to touch on is that you love to give back to this industry. And I love that about you. I am like, let's go. That is like, oh, I was like, I was just like, I love people who love this. Because I know that for me in the industry, it was very, I grew up in the part where everything was kind of hoarded. We didn't really share much stuff. If there were like few, like maybe one DVD out there when DVDs were still a thing from Mind of Reese, and I was like, I need this DVD. And I remember someone grabbing this DVD and throwing it on the ground and being like, no, and I was like, and I remember watching it still, and even though it would skip, I'm like, come on, like I was so upset. So I was like, come on, I got this, like, because you didn't have like things recorded on the internet just yet. And so that was like, for me, I was like, why is this? Why do we want to hoard? Why do we want to hoard our artists or at the shops and then like get mad at them and have blow ups? Like I've noticed like when artists leave shops, they have bad experiences, or like how, like their mentors or whatever, like, how dare you leave me kind of vibes. And then it's like, there's a sense of like not wanting to let go, and this not wanting to share. And that I've noticed, which, I'm always looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I am seeing the shifts and the changes that are happening within this industry, and it makes me so fucking stoked on how much education and people are really willing to share what they know. And that's something that I love that you're doing. And I would love to know, like, I mean, obviously I get the essence of where it comes from, but where for you does that like really like drive you?
Well, you know what? Like that, I have feelings. That old school mindset, right? One, I will say, I am a huge tattoo history buff. Like, there are so many artists who have no fucking idea how special everything is and what got us to this point. Tattooing, like modern tattooing, is not that fucking old. The first custom tattoo shops opened in 1977. Like you know what I mean? So I get really heated about this because the old school guys, that old school mentality came after all that. It came after it was revolutionized. You know what I mean? But the people who revolutionized it are still fucking tattooing. And I have spent time with them. One of my fucking greatest and closest, like, just one of the people that I am so fucking grateful to know and who has been somewhat of a mentor to me is literally Freddie Negretti. And I met him. If you've ever met him, you know, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sweet. I met him at an event in LA when they were doing the tattoo exhibit at the Natural History Museum. They did like a launch party. Yeah. So, which was super fucking cool. But they did a launch party, and I went, and I was like, I'm gonna network. I was 21 years old. I was like, I'm gonna network, and I was fresh out of my apprenticeship that was terrible, and I was kind of on the run from that almost. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna go to this event, and I'm gonna make friends. And so I went, and it's just wall to wall, like fucking black and gray guys, all tough, you know, like.
I love LA.
I look like somebody's fucking girlfriend, you know what I mean? I'm just in my little dress, and nobody. This is a funny story. I think I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the whole thing.
Please do.
So I tried to like kind of shove my way into this like kind of circle of dudes. They all look like black and gray guys, and I'm trying to like they keep just like ignoring me. Like they're like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Angel." And I was like, "Oh, like where do you guys tattoo?" And they're like, "Oh, this is their shop." They're like, "Where do you tattoo?" I was like, "Oh, I have a private studio." They're like, "How long you been tattooing?" I was like, "Oh, 2 years." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever, bitch. Like, you know, scratcher, you know, or whatever." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm trying so hard, right?" I grab one of them, and I'm like, "Hey, do you do black and gray?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Cool, can I follow you? I love black and gray." He's like, "Yeah," right? So I get his profile. He really isn't interested in talking to me. I get his profile. I do like a 1-2. And I see that he has tattooed one of my drawings that went viral on Pinterest. like the irony of this situation, right? Like it was like 2 weeks prior, he tattooed a fucking drawing that I made that was on Pinterest. And I was like, I just like turned the phone towards my assistant. She's like, no fucking way, dude.
Did you say
This is
something?
so I freaked out. Like went to the bathroom. I was like, "Can we fucking talk about this?" Like, oh my god! And we opened the door of the bathroom. My assistant goes, "Dude, he treated you like you were fucking nothing. Little
Oh
does he know he's using your art." And so I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "I don't even know how to like go back over there." She's like, "Don't worry,
my
I'm gonna go tell him that he needs to credit you for the tattoo he did." I was like, "Okay."
god. Oh my
So she
god.
goes back
Yes.
over there. Allegedly, this is what happened. She goes back over, and all of the guys are crowded around a phone going, "Hey, who the fuck was that?" Because they're now looking at my account because they saw that I followed him. She's so good. Who is that? You know? And she goes, "Hey, just so you know, this tattoo you did, that's actually her drawing originally, and you should probably credit her for it." And the other guy's like, "No, I was there that day. He wanted it exactly like that. Blah blah blah." She's like, "Oh, no, that's not good. Like, just credit her." And that was the like quiet victory I had. Same night. I was 21 years old, Reese. I was a baby child. I had super short hair. Um, I same night. I see Freddie Negretti. I know who it is again because I love tattoo history. And I was like, dude, we gotta say hi. We gotta do something. So we end up being like, I love your shoes. He's wearing gold shoes because he's fucking Freddie Negretti. And he was being really sweet to say, "Where'd you guys get the food?" And we're like, "Oh, we'll show you where the food is, you know." And he kind of ended up sort of using me and my homie as like a party buffer when people would get annoying with him. He'd be like, "Anyway, girls, so." You know? Anyway, at one point, he sees me on my phone, and they're kind of like, "Oh, these millennials and their fucking phones." He's like, "Nah, Angel's on the gram. I know what she's doing." And then he's like, "Hey, let me follow you," right? And I was like, "Yeah, sure, bud." Like, it's like, give him my Instagram. He's old, you know. He's like this, and he's like, he pulls up one of my tattoos, and he goes, I like saw him like have an actual like visual reaction to the tattoo, and he sees me, and I'm like, and he goes, "Barely any mistakes in this one." He sees how giddy I am because I can see that he likes my work, and he's like, "This is beautiful, Angel." And I was like, "Thank you so much." And I realized in that moment, not once did he ask how old I was, ask how long I've been tattooing, or where I fucking worked. He was just like, "Your tattoos are beautiful." And he offered me respect before he even knew what I looked like. Before he knew what my tattoos looked like. And then a little while later, he introduced me to his son, Boo Boo. He's like, "Boo Boo, this is Angel. She makes beautiful tattoos." And everyone's like, and I ended up meeting like all of these incredible people, you know, who he's close with. And I ended up like going back to the Shamrock and going to visit him often. And Freddie used to sit there on the couch at Shamrock with me and tell me stories about the way things used to be, you know. And he would tell me like, you know, these youngsters, these fucking Nico Hurtados and these Carlos Torreses, you know, these youngsters. He's like,
Yeah.
they keep me on my toes. I saw their shit and I was like, my tattoos look like dog shit. You know? He's like, I had to do better. And he's like, you always have to do better. Like, and I was like, listen, if this man who is literally the godfather of black and gray
Mhm.
is is respecting me because I'm on the forefront of change, then fuck all those old guys that are stuck in their ways. Literally, there's no one older than him. You know what I mean? Him and his homies revolutionized tattooing. Of course, they respect people who push for change because that's what they did. You know what I mean? And so at one point, he's telling me, "Oh, I remember when I met Ed Hardy. He's a fucking nerd." He was like, artsy guy from San Francisco, and I was like a fucking gangster. I was El Coyote, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I hated that he called me Freddie Negretti. It was so lame. Like, he's like, it's Negrete. I was like, he's like, I met Ed Hardy, who, for context for anyone listening, Ed Hardy had, you know, started up a bunch of tattooing stuff. He had fucking like invented tattoo conventions and shit. That's a whole other
Mhm.
story. But he had gone to Japan for a few years and saw the tattooing that was happening there and brought it back to America and then kind of melded American traditional and Japanese traditional. So the first time he met Ed Hardy, right, he's telling me, he's like, back in the day, we used to have our portfolios on Polaroids, which like, imagine.
Right.
And he's like, he throws down like 5 Polaroids of just like back piece, back piece, back piece, and he's like, he's like, I had to snuggle up to this guy because he was so much better than anything I could imagine. And he was like, dude, this, it was just funny to hear, like, man, this guy's so different than me. Like, Freddie's like a fucking gangster. You know what I mean? Like, he's triple OG fucking, Southern California. And he meets this nerdy art school grad from San Francisco. And he's like, I gotta snuggle up to this guy for sure. And very long story short, I will never apologize for revolutionizing tattooing. I will never apologize for being on the forefront of change, because literally that's what got us here. I'm so
Yeah.
tired of people being like, oh, quit going on TV, quit fucking, newer tattooers. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it because it's like, dude, these tattoo shows and the path that was paved before us are the reason that we get to fucking live like rock stars, and you get to like fucking buy shots for the whole bar and everybody thinks you're so fucking cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
money, bro. Shut up. Like,
No, I'm with you. I'm so fucking with you 100%. When you're talking about revolutionizing, like yes, we may have had a past where someone would hoard information or whatever, but that does not mean that I'm going to be a victim of that particular past and circumstance. That just means it's going to be my fuel to get me and motivate me to change the fucking story. I'm like, you know what? You don't want to change the story? I'll change it. That's fine. I'm happy to change it. I'm happy to be the one that takes the first beating. I'm happy to be the one that people throw rocks at because I can take it. Like, that's my whole point. For me, it's like the other day, someone was like, I told someone the other day, I was like, you know what? Most artists think I'm cringeworthy. And you know what? I'm okay with that because some artists think that I offer some artists the permission to be authentically themselves and to own who the fuck they are. And I'm okay with that. And I'm more okay with that. So call me cringeworthy. And it was so funny because I was having a conversation with my friend and he was telling me, he was like, Reese, you used to trigger me so hard. I was like, who is this girl? And she's bubbly and she's just all over the gram. She shows her tattoos, but like she also shows herself, which makes no sense. And it's like, but he realized, and it was a beautiful conversation because he was like, I realized that I had to look within myself to find out why I was rejecting her so much. When really, at the end of the day, when we start rejecting others, it's because we're rejecting some part of ourselves that feels like we want to do the same thing. We want to do world changing work. Everybody has it in them to do world changing work. It's just to own it. It's to own the desire to want to. And then
well,
when we own it,
absolutely.
we're just going to do it.
The exact example I gave is like, look at fucking
Mhm.
Ed Hardy. Google a picture of him right now. Do you think these vatos wanted to fucking hang out with him? Do you think they thought he was cringeworthy? Yeah, bro. They fucking did. But did he revolutionize fucking everything we know? Yes, he did. Like,
Yes, you did. Yes. I know. I'm like, call me 100%. I am 100% hashtag cringeworthy all day. I don't give a shit. Like for me, it's like, I don't care. Whatever.
listen,
If it's all
it's like
good.
I got fucking like Lord of the Rings swords hanging up behind this cool painting I this is a ruse. I am a weirdo, like, and I don't care anymore. I don't like
It's so
people think I'm like cringeworthy or whatever. Like, especially like fucking lately, I post like 1 or 2 fucking personal things. The whole internet like loses their fucking minds, but I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I do a little bit because like the state of the world's a little bit weird right now, but the thing is like it's like you responded to my post the other day where I was like, listen, if you want me to be reduced to just floating photos of tattoos, then you've come to the wrong page. And I think
Mhm.
that people's value as an artist comes not from the fucking art that they put out. You know what I mean? I didn't buy this painting by, this was Nico Giffen, who I used to work with. I didn't buy this painting because, I mean, it is beautiful. It's fucking incredible. But I bought it because this man is so fucking brilliant, and the things that he's taught me are evident in this painting. You know what I mean? And this thing glows in the dark, and he adorned the whole outside with moss because he's a weird guy like that, and I fucking love him. You know what I mean? It's like the inside of this man's mind looks like this, and that's why this art is emotional to me. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah. That's
it,
awesome. Just by saying that right then and there, it's like the inside of this man's mind is right there on that painting. That man is so safe within himself to share this out to the world. And we all have our moments of feeling like, yeah, that fucking hurt when someone said something mean. It's like I'm not completely, blind, and it's not that I don't go without feeling. Actually, my vulnerability, my feelings are what get me to this point. This is the reason why I'm able to share so much of myself and be so vulnerable and be so transparent in this industry, in this world, is because of the fact that, like, I do have emotions and I accept them. I'm not the
yeah,
kind, I don't want to hide them down or push them down and reject myself while in turn in rejecting others. I'm like, what you just said, it's like we nourish this world with love. And
yeah.
if we can
And you
do
know
that,
what, too? It's like, you don't purchase, a lot of time, you don't purchase art because of the end product. You purchase art because of the story, because of what
mhm,
went into it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? If you've read my post about this one, which you see it, it's cool, lettering, ooh, gangster, blah, blah, blah. But it says, love yourself. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And
yeah.
that is, it may be ambiguous and I wanted it to look that way, but the journey that I went on to get to painting this is, I think, what makes it more beautiful. It's like, why are there plaques in museums explaining things? Why, like, it's like the example I gave the other day. Why is Van Gogh the fucking, like, father of expressionism? Because this man was locked in an asylum with nothing but fucking paint. And this is what he made. This was his expression. Are they beautiful paintings? I mean, sure. Did they require a lot of skill? Like, it ain't that. You know what I mean? But it's beautiful because of where he was, because this man was so fucking crazy. I used to hear stories of Van Gogh that were like, before, like when he was homeless, he would just, there were these planks of wood that had like hundreds and hundreds of layers of paint on them that he would carry around with him because he felt like his hands would hurt if he didn't paint, because it was
Mm,
compulsive. He had to make art. That is the shit that makes art good. Not fucking, oh, it's just a tattoo. I just came here to see tattoos. Like, fuck off, dude. You as an artist matter. Your
it
story
does.
matters. And I don't care if it's
Absolutely.
cringe. I don't give a fuck if it's like, oh, ho, ho, I'm gay. Fuck all of you. It matters. It does. Like,
I love you. I love you. Oh my God. Well, you said it. You hit it right there on the head. You're like, why are we trying to explain ourselves? We are supposed to be expressed. Hello. And that's how we express it. We are that lucky and that fucking lucky to be able to express it through the art form of tattooing. We get to tell stories through our artwork, and we also have a story to tell. Every tattoo I make, every tattoo anybody makes, is a weaved story about yourself in some capacity. And the reason why that person is there getting that tattoo is because they have a similar story and they feel inspired by who you are, for them to want to sit 8 hours of their time, money, energy, and attention with you getting a tattoo done by you. And so that for me is like, hello, your story does matter because you're actually energetically putting that into someone's body permanently. And
yeah.
so maybe you should be figuring out what your story is so you can be inviting other people into this place, into your spaces, and giving that medicine through the modality of tattooing. And that's how we exchange it. And that's how we help people heal. Like the people that feel like they can't be expressed in the way that they want to, they do it through tattoos. That's how they feel more expressed, they feel more themselves. And so that's for me, I'm like when you're like, it should be a complete honor and it's a gift to be a tattoo artist. It's a gift to tattoo. It is. And so that's why I'm like, fuck, fuck yes. Let's express ourselves. You, the artist, are important, and you are the one that makes the art. You're the person behind the machine,
I think
and that you're
people
the
have a hard,
storyteller.
yeah, people have a hard time like validating themselves. You know what I mean? They have a very hard time being like, "Well, hey, this
Yeah.
is me," and this is something that I had to learn because I used to misrepresent myself to try to like control people's reaction to
Mhm.
me. I didn't like
Of
when I
course.
got pushed back. I didn't like it at all. So I tried to like, craft, ooh, this is what I'm going to put out into the world. And then I realized that I was being misunderstood and it was bothering the fuck out of me. And I kind of got to this point. I, started therapy and all this stuff. And I real like what we
Mhm.
basically had to decide was I am going to be 100% authentic all of the time. And it's a
Mhm.
lot easier to deal with people not liking me when it's like, oh, well, I can't be any different. This is who I am. But I think that people are so caught up in that first part where they're like, well, I have to craft a specific thing for people to see to like retrieve a specific reaction. I'm like, you and I are going to get an array of reactions, but it is hard to hurt us because it's like, that's me.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
am an artist. Like the things I make are an emotional expression of what I am. And so
Mhm.
like you really can't detach me from my art. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. And you were saying something too. It's like we're trying so hard to micromanage how people see us. And
Mm-hmm.
that is harder than just being authentic. And
So
so just by
hard.
being authentic, it's so much harder. Oh my God, I remember doing it. Like it's so exhausting. I would like post something and I'd be so exhausted after because I tried so hard to make sure I worded it just right in order to explain myself in some capacity. And at this point, I'm just like, I own who I am and I own all of the flaws I think I have and all of the flaws other people might think I have. And I'm just going to own it and love it and just morph it and alchemize it into something that's really beautiful, like my artwork, like how I express myself, like the education and all this other stuff. So it's like, for me, I find that really interesting. And it brings up a point around the way that we showcase like our artwork and who it is that we're trying to micromanage, because is it actually the client or is it the people we think like our peers and other tattooers? Because I notice this a lot. I'm like, you're posting, most people are posting and don't even realize it. They're doing this subconsciously, that they're posting it for their friends. They're posting it for the other people in the shop. They're posting it because of other tattoo artists that follow them. And I'm like, but those are the people that pay your bills. You know what I mean? I'm like, let's not be posting and micromanaging the way people see us because we're so afraid of what our peers are going to say about us. Like, that's where we got to remember we are a business and we
Mm-hmm.
have to understand that this business, in order to thrive, it does need the exchange of, services and money and product and this kind of thing. And so I'm just like, like, who
That's
am I showing
100%
up for?
why. It's 100% why I'm like, dude, I am so sorry that I cater to the mainstream by going on TV and being Angel Rose and being fucking sassy and goofy and all the things. And like, I'm so sorry, but like, hello? Tattoo TV bridged the gap between the mainstream and tattooing. I'm so sorry. That's what happened. You were there for it. You fucking saw it firsthand. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for that because now it's very mainstream to be tattooed, and that is what allows us to be where we are and to do what we are doing, and for you and I to walk outside and not get burned alive for being witches, like you know what I mean?
Yep. I do. But it's like, that's the thing, is that like, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happily happy to take the brunt of it. I'm happily happy because of the fact is that there, the people that understand are the people that are going to come along for the ride. And they're also going to come along for the ride and maybe branch off and be a forefront of their own change and however they see something happening. And all we're doing is creating more excitement for trailblazing over becoming sheep and robots and following the masses of what everybody else is doing. And at the end of the day, like when we're talking about mainstream, yes, there are millions more people that understand tattooing, and what ends up happening is that there are millions more people really understanding how to choose the tattoo artist and how to choose someone for themselves. And since that's becoming more of a thing, there no now we're getting less and less, like I'm getting less and less asks for cover-ups, to be honest, which is so interesting because I'm like, you know, like for me, I'm like, wow, is it because, I mean, I don't put it out there that I don't do them. I actually happily do them because I'm like, hey, if you don't like something about your body, I'm here for that. Like, let's change that idea. So I'm
Yeah.
like, but I don't, I'm like just not getting them as much. And I'm like, are we changing? Are we getting better at what we're doing around here?
Yeah,
Like, what's
you know
happening?
what? This is kind of radical, but one time one of the producers from Paramount asked me, they're like, "Hey, like, what are your goals?" I'm like, "Don't fucking ask me that. It's astronomical. It's ridiculous." But I said, I believe that bad tattoos shouldn't exist. I fucking believe that with my whole heart. Or at
Mm,
the very least, it should be minimized to people who are brand new and figuring it out. You know what
mhm.
I mean? But like, it didn't take me long to commit myself to quality, at least enough to put in a tattoo pretty nice. You know what I mean? It didn't, I had 3 people standing over me watching me do what I was doing. And literally everything I did, move your hand a little bit, grip this way, stretch this way, now pull. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That that commitment to that quality is super important to me. I almost believe that like having like I think walk-ins are fun, but I do think that it should be the norm to make an appointment.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
I'm a, well, you know what? And you also bring up a good point. There is little to zero reason why there should be a tattoo these days because of technology and because of how this industry has morphed to fake skins and all of these great new ways. Like, I've seen the most beautiful artwork on these fake fucking skins. I'm like, don't even tell me that that you can't do it. Don't, I understand that it's a little different from skin. I mean, I've done it myself, but I'm like, come on. You can practice. There is no reason why anybody should be doing bad tattoos, to be really honest.
Yeah,
And
and
that's,
you know that
go ahead.
like you know kind of like does kind of I should touch on this that like I did get ran off of TikTok because I told people not to buy not to buy
Oh,
machines on
really?
Amazon and tattoo their
Oh,
hubbies.
yeah.
And oh man, the scratcher community canceled the fuck out of me for that one.
But see,
But it's
that's
about
like so
respect.
interesting. This is a scratcher community. Like, what is that? Like, you shouldn't even want to be in that community. You should just
They
be like,
said,
let me just accidentally touch the hair of that and then like get out of that as fast as fucking
yeah.
possible.
Well,
Yeah.
they said that I was gatekeeping and I was classist for telling them to get an apprenticeship.
This is a gatekeeping thing. I've
Which
just
is so
noticed that's like a
ironic.
brand
Which is
new
so
word for
ironic because
people.
like I am so passionate about education.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Hello. Um, but the point of it is that like I think that we should be committed to quality from day one.
Yeah.
From
I
day
agree.
one. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't just be trial and erroring our way through any of it. We should make
Mhm.
informed decisions, be educated, have mentors as much as we physically possibly can. You know what I
I
mean?
still
And
have
I remember
mentors.
you're one of my mentors, my
You
fucking
I
god.
was
Like
gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, Laura, I have Pooch, like, I have all these like people I call, I look up to, and I'm just like, hey, dude, like, can you just tell me one this or that? And just tell me how much I owe you. Like, I don't care. Like, let's do
but I
this. You
stand by the belief that like if you're just gonna do it as a hobby, or if you're just gonna like, oh, I just want to make some money off of it, or like, oh, I can't afford to take off work and do an apprenticeship. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I wanted it bad. I wanted it more than you did. I didn't like have the privilege of taking off work to do an apprenticeship. I starved through it. No, I'm
Mhm,
not saying that people should do that. I'm not saying that should be necessary. I know there's a lot of changes that need to be made to the whole apprenticeship system. But
mhm.
what I am saying is that because of it, I had people watching me and I had people telling me exactly how to tune the machine, how to turn it on, how to wrap it, how to fucking do every single piece of it. And that is how I got so good so fast
Yeah.
because I had people I could ask questions to. My God, if I had just like pulled a tattoo machine out of a box and tried to tattoo with it, I would 100,000,000% not do it right. If I had
Yep.
nobody
Oh,
telling me.
I did that. I did that. I was like, I remember like asking shop after shop for 3 years for an apprenticeship, and it was like laugh me right out the shop, laugh me right out the shop. And I was an amazing drawer. I was in fine art school. Like I was like, I've got it. But it was always this whole like, you're too pretty. That one, it was so annoying. It was like, "You're
Oh,
too
you and I
pretty."
have bonded over this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, "Oh, my wife won't like it that you're here at the shop. You can't work here." The one that I thought was hilarious, I think he was fucking with me, but when he was like, "Girls can't draw," and I was like, "I'm showing you my drawings right here. Is
You
this
don't
not a
draw your
drawing?"
wife naked. Get the
Yeah,
fuck
I
out of
know.
here.
Like, see, I was so mad. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tattoo. So I got a machine, and not gonna lie, it was a swap meet machine, and I tried on oranges, and I was like, I'm never gonna do this. I'm gonna be a poor artist for the rest of my life. I'm gonna do education. This is what I'm doing. Like, I tried, and I was like, there is no way. There is absolutely, this is awful. Like, I am not good at this. And so I just like, I had an idea that I was gonna get my master's degree in fine art. I was going to move to Scotland, start teaching in Scotland. And like, that was like the goal. All of a sudden someone offered me an apprenticeship and I was like, oh, thank God. Like 3 years later.
Fuck. I'm glad you
But
didn't
it
do
wasn't for one. I kept trying, but I was like, I will try until I graduate. And if I don't, and it was like, I was a year and a half away from graduating and I continued to go on, but then like all the career happened and I was like, I'm going to put my full force forward on tattooing. And so I
stick your
quit.
dick in it.
What's that?
I said you just gotta stick your dick in it. Just kidding.
Yeah, you just got to stick
Um,
your dick in it. Yeah.
this brings me to my point. This brings me to another thing. So in the state of Oregon, so this is a perfect example, right? Because my heart bleeds over these amazing artists who don't have opportunity in front of them, who don't know where to start, right?
Mhm, mhm.
In the state of Oregon, it is like mandated. You have to go to
Yeah,
tattoo school to
yeah.
get a license in this state. Which is funny because I damn near had to go to tattoo school because I had a hard time proving that I was tattooing for 3 years. I very sarcastically sent them clips of Ink Master, like, fuckers, give me my license.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regardless, the Oregon Health Department requires that people go to tattoo school, and there are issues with that. One, because these kids, are not learning a hands-on process the way that someone who is mentored would, or the way that they
Mhm.
really deserve. I think it's fucking bullshit, honestly. If
Yeah.
I had a
No, I
tattoo
agree.
school, motherfucker, I swear to God. But I know this because I was at an expo and this kid was standing behind me for damn near 2 days straight watching me tattoo. And he didn't bother me. He didn't say anything. He's like, no, it's just an honor to sit here and watch her. And eventually I was like, you gonna pull up a chair? I like pulled my headphones out. I was like, you gonna pull up a chair? And he's like, oh no, I'm good. And I was like, all right, fuck off then. And
Yeah.
my sister was like, bro, go sit with her. What are you doing? Like, go what? And she doesn't say that to anybody. Go sit with her. He ended up being a really good friend of mine.
Mm.
But what had happened was he was fresh out of tattoo school and he was anxious as fuck. He was like, I have a job, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Mm.
And I need help. And so basically he asked me if he could come shadow me at work. He asked if he could watch me here and there and kind of pick my brain about certain things. And what ended up happening was I gave him a bunch of art books. I gave him reference. I let him watch me. We talk about stuff all the time, but it brought awareness to the fact that these guys are not being taught things. Like he would
Nope.
come in and be like, he would show me his line work and he'd be like, I don't know what happened with it. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd ask him questions and he'd be like, what? He didn't know what I was talking about. And I'd be, God damn it. Oh, there's a
Oh my
problem.
God.
There is a problem in this state. So I was like, there has to be some kind of something that brings more education past a tattoo school into this state because people don't know what the fuck's going on. And it's not their fault. He's brilliant. He wants to be good. Again, I respect an artist that wants to grow. So I was like, I wanted to do ideally free seminars, but that's hard. So we landed on this trilogy idea. And I wanted it to be a little bit more accessible than, like the seminars that are going on at fucking in New York for, $2,500 and, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. I wanted it to be, like a little bit more like cost effective, but it meant that it had to have a lot of people together. Like I had to have more people to, pay for the event. Right. So, and then it ended up being this concept to bring people in the community together. I was like, great that it's big. Awesome. We'll do it at the fucking museum. We will bring everybody. Cause the thing is like, okay, people graduate tattoo school, right? Then they go looking for a job. Nobody wants to hire them. It's too saturated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
mediocre. They're kind of any kind, you know what I mean? So they open a tattoo studio, and consequently, no one in Portland fucking talks to each other. Nobody, you know.
Yeah.
So this is where I was like, my heart was fucking bleeding. I was like, we got to do something. We got to bring these people together. We got to offer.
Yay, you guys! I'm so excited to have been given the opportunity and to really just feel it in my soul to offer 2 more people into my Inner Circle VIP one-on-one experience and container. This experience is for the tattoo artist who is ready to get hands-on, to get nitty-gritty, deep within not only the body of the somatic healing, but also into the depths of the business in order to really create a cohesive experience of not only energetics but strategy. So if this feels like something you want to do and you're ready to hop on board, click the link in the show notes, fill out the sweet entry form, and we can have a chat and see if it's right for you. It's a 6-month container. We're talking about creation, innovation, structural, strategic pathways. Okay? Loving on you. Go back to it.
Offer this exchange of info, this sacred exchange of info that is what made me good, what made you good, what elevates the community as a whole. And we're going to do it here in Oregon. And it's like, it's hard for me to, it's like, it's so ironic that people are like, you're so like classist and gatekeepy and blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking here trying to bring all these people together, bro. Like, I'm trying so hard.
We don't know anything. Their sweet little souls only see one thing, and they're just like, let me just spew out the nonsense that people are so funny. They don't know. They don't know what's going on, but the people that do know and are really excited, which is this because like I know you've been talking about Trilogy for like I know I've been seeing it a lot on your page. I've sent it out to my my students and stuff because I'm like, hey, if you're here, like I even know a girl that was in Portland and she wanted to become an apprentice of mine, and it just didn't work out because she couldn't. Obviously, that's like making a move to California. It's like a totally big deal, and I'm like, it's a lot, and I'm just like, fuck. Like I'm also the same way. I'm like, how do we create something that's like more education for either apprentices or people? How do we make this like? I think being a tattoo artist should be able to be more accessible than it is. I don't believe in personally for me, I don't believe in saturation. There are 12 billion people on this planet and there's like a billion people that are
Scarcity
doctors and stuff
mindset.
like this. It's all scarcity mindset. Like I believe that like there's enough room for everybody. I mean, in the county of San Diego alone, there's 5.5 million people. I don't even know like a pinky nail worth of that many people over here. So it's just like, come on, like we have plenty of people in our small towns, even if you're in a small town. So and we have the internet, which is so crazy. People fly all over for your artwork. Like if that's, it's like crazy pants. So I'm the same way. I'm very much like, how do we do this in a really beautiful, but like in the right way where people actually get real hands-on training. And that's a big for me, it's a big like I have big fucking dreams. And we do it. I've got to talk to you because like I will tell you what my ideas are, and like I'm not afraid to like tell people this, but it's just like I know that there is like there's something big around the corner, and I know that like
Sorry, the truth of it is that it's like, no, we're not like, I don't care about saturation either. Like,
yeah,
I just want the people who come into contact with tattooing to respect it.
yep,
And I want people like, with it becoming more saturated, we also need to be better. It raises the bar of quality.
yes it
You
does,
know what I mean?
yes
The
it does,
accessibility of the
yes.
situation raises the bar of quality. So the old
Hmm.
guys who are like, oh fuck, it's always been this way, blah blah blah, they're mad because it means they need to get better.
Yep,
And
exactly.
that's exactly why I don't respect that mindset. That's exactly why I'm
Hmm.
like, listen, God will leave you behind. You know what I mean? And the same goes
Hmm.
for people who just want to tattoo as a hack, who want to make money, blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, it's not that. There is this fine line we need to walk that is quality and quantity. And I think that's where you and I really agree. I think that's why,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yep.
like, well, I'm talking about this, and you start getting like all fucking
I
wiggly,
know.
and you're
I'm
just
like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell you this thing I have in my mind. Well, it's because like I always knew, like after we met, I always knew that there was we haven't, I think we've never taught seminars together, but we've done one together where it was like you were there and you were also teaching as well, even though it wasn't like you were meant to teach. You're just like, fuck it. But you're just like a natural teacher just in and of itself. And that's what I want to like kind of roundabout bring it back to Trilogy and how I didn't know that it was for um like that story behind it about you wanting to give space for people just graduating out of tattoo school because it is mandated by Oregon, and how that's like, people should be more educated in this, and you're bringing community around this. I had no idea. Is it only for people in Oregon, or is it for everybody involved?
no, it's absolutely for everyone. But my thought process around it was, I'm going to make it accessible to these people. Whether or not they take it, I can't control. I
No.
know,
No.
I know with the names that we have on it, with Laura from the East Coast, with Bob, and our TV presence, I know that it's gonna have a lot of people flying in. I happen to know that there are a lot of people flying in. I happen to know that, like, there's an artist coming in from Hawaii. There's fucking people coming from all over, a bunch of people coming from Utah and California. But the thing is like, my network of artists that I've met have played such a quintessential role in me getting good at tattooing. The fact that you and I
Mm,
are friends across the country, it fucking matters. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so I
Mhm.
was like, come one, come all, let's fucking do this thing. If
Yeah.
I can help, um, you know what I mean? But it was originally, and the idea of accessibility and connecting people.
Mhm.
Connecting people is incredibly important to me. I feel like
Yeah.
no matter what style of tattooing you do, no matter what, you do not know when these connections you make at your guest spots, at expos, at seminars are going to matter, because eventually they will. Because I
Oh,
fully
absolutely.
believe everybody attending this seminar is going to go off and do big shit in this industry. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't want to miss it. I'm so grateful that I know you, because I know you're doing shit. And
Mhm.
if you needed help, or if you're doing a fucking podcast and people listen to it and we can make a difference in that way, then let's do it. You know what I mean? And that,
Yeah.
like, those connections are
Yeah.
incredibly important to me. But it did start with me going, holy shit, these guys. At least this person that I met, it would mean the world to him, and so I know it must mean a lot to other people as well.
Absolutely.
And
Um, um,
I see stuff like that, and my heart bleeds. And I am a doer. I don't like to fucking talk. I like to do. And
mhm.
so I was like, we're doing a seminar. And I mean, Bob had also mentioned that he wanted to do a seminar with me, and it's kind of funny because literally yesterday he was like, "Man, when I said I wanted to do a seminar with Angel, I thought it was going to be like, small and intimate and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, Bob, I'm so sorry. It's me.
You
I just have no
you
chill."
forget who I am.
And it was funny because my coworker was like, "You're so humble, Angel," and I was like, "No, I don't mean it like that. It's not like, oh, a bunch of people are gonna come because it's me. It's like, no, it's me. I fucking, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do the fuck out of it. You know what I mean?"
Yeah,
Um,
no, and that's the point. It's like you're gonna do something, you're always 110%, and that's just you. That's like in your cells. Like that's not. If I think of Angel, I'm like, if I know if she says she's gonna do something, she's gonna do it. Like that's just. I'm like, oh yeah, the like I don't even there's no question in my mind when people are like,
yeah.
oh, did you see what Angel's doing? I was like, yes,
Nah.
and
Yeah. What is she doing now? Yeah.
and
Um, you know what?
yes, like
I am so fucking excited for this event, and I think that, again, people get a little bit weird when they get like, people have a hard time expressing the same way people have a hard time expressing when they are in pain or sad. People have a hard time expressing their joy sometimes. People hold back, you know. And I think that, like, it's kind of that way with the seminar. People are like, yeah, it's chill, whatever, it's whatever, And I'm sitting here like, you guys have no fucking idea how good it's gonna be. It was like, dude, when we were finding venues, I was like, oh my god, OMSI, like, we're doing it at a fucking museum, bro. And I was like, this is what happens when I take of something and I run with it. It's like, it's going to be so good. It's just gonna,
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. And then we have these incredible brands coming on who are like 100% we want to support this, we want to get involved, we want to do this. So like, to answer your question you asked me before we started recording, I think it's inevitable that I'm going to have to do it again.
I was
Because
gonna like, if you could see my face on my face, you could see the face on my face. It was like when I was just like, come on, Angel. Like, if you haven't already decided, I know it's in your bones that you're going to, like, this is going to be a big deal. Like, it's going to
oh,
be
and
one of those things where Trilogy becomes not an event, it becomes an experience, it becomes a movement. And for you, because your essence just doesn't do anything less than a movement. It's not a movement. And so when I
hard,
heard
hard to
Trilogy, I
kill.
was like,
Yeah. No, and what
what?
happened was too, as soon as
No.
I walked in, I went into OMSI and they were like, this is incredible. So OMSI, for those listening, is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry.
Mm.
So they are very like science, techie, like forward thinking, innovation. And they were like, oh my God, amazing tattoo people. You guys can, like, we got to do this again. As I'm doing the walkthrough to see if I even want to do the event there, they're like, oh my God, yeah. And in the future, like, they love it. Like, holy shit, like this community is important to Oregon and it just innovation and stuff like that. They're super into it. So I already that thought was in my mind pretty instantly. For that matter, too, I decided to speak at this seminar not because I wanted to teach a seminar, but more so because I wanted to kind of test run this for the future. And I know, okay, if I'm doing it and we don't make any money, at least I don't have to like pay out of pocket for another artist. You know what I mean? Like, um,
Totally.
so that's why I had me and my basically two best friends. But in the
Yeah,
future, it will be more people that thank God I've networked with in the past, and
exactly.
I'm
Mhm.
so
Just
I've
being in
always
a relationship. Yeah.
at the inception of this, I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna end up being a thing. This one's the test run, and from here on, we go. And we ended up getting contacted by. This is just an example. We got contacted by Coalition Tattoo Supply. They're a supplier here in the Northwest, and they were like, "We love what you're doing. We think this is so important. There's nothing in our community currently that does anything like this, and we want to get involved." And they've already started hinting, like, "Hey, maybe you should do one up in Seattle, like." Maybe,
Mhm.
like, and
Mhm.
some crazy ideas have come up because a lot of people are like, oh, are you guys going to stream it? And the answer is no, we're not fucking streaming it. But it doesn't mean that we can't do online events. It doesn't mean that we can't also do events in other states. It doesn't mean that it has to be in a box. It doesn't mean that if the idea is accessibility, then we'll keep pushing with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And first, it's like, of course, movement. Hello, the Trilogy movement here. And so I love you so much for just giving us insight on that and all of like the things that you're heading towards and all of the just like the bigness and the ideas and the innovation and just like you like the whole change that you're just so really like in love with and passionate about is it's like honestly it's like it's like my heart is bursting wide open because of it and I'm like what else can we do I'm with you 100%,
No,
so
actually, in
let's
a few weeks
go.
to do stuff. We're like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
I know, right? Because it's like just now happening. But if I could ask you one last thing, since we've covered so much, but what would it be like the one thing that you would say to someone that most people that are listening to this podcast feel inside them that they are meant for something big? And um I want you I want to know what you would say to these people if they were like on the fence of doing something that's calling to them, that's literally calling from their soul to move forward, but they're maybe just like not sure like how to build that momentum within them.
So, an example that I give people um, with that kind of thing, again, I have not been plagued with doubt too many times in my life. It's just not a
Mhm.
good motivator for me.
Mhm.
I try to be motivated positively, if that makes sense. So I like to move towards things. not away from fear, right?
Mm.
If the fear is chasing me from behind, I have no direction. But if the love is pulling me from ahead, then I know where I'm going. So I like to be motivated by what I love, not what I'm afraid of, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. My nipples just got so hard from that. I'm sorry.
you know you're on a podcast, Reese. Um,
Hold on. Ding! I'm in love.
yes. So, but the sentiment of that, I know that's like metaphorical, and people are like, yeah, woo woo shit. No, what it is though is that like the difference, the primary difference between me and other people who have tried to walk the same path is that when something calls me, I say yes. Immediately I say yes. I don't care what it takes. I don't care about anything else. I just say yes to things. They called me to do Ink Master when I was 2 years into tattooing, barely. Like I had been tattooing on my own for like a year out of my apprenticeship. I knew that I knew there was a very, very, very slightly slim chance in hell that I would ever win. There's a very high chance of me making a fool of myself, but I said yes. And that's what you have to do, because thank God I did that. It led to more opportunity. It led to so much knowledge and so much growth. And I have only ever regretted saying no to things. I have never
Mm.
regretted saying yes. I mean, I guess that's kind of like a loose statement, but
Yeah.
I regret saying no to things more than I regret saying yes. You know what I mean?
I don't know why my first thought went to like sex. I was like, well, yeah, there was some stuff I should have said no to.
I was sort of thinking like, clients that are like, can I have an elephant wrapping its trunk around 4 names and blah blah. Then I regret
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah. Yeah. I'm
but
like, I'm like thinking of something so off kilter. I'm just like, yeah,
but
I
it's
didn't
like,
like
dude,
that.
do you want to have a
That
tat?
wasn't for me.
It's like, do you want to have a tattoo shop? It's going to be a lot of money. You're going to have to keep it open. And I was like, yep,
Yep. For me, it never was like that. It was never about the money. I was like, I can make money. I can do that. It's always about, do I want to? It's like, for
yeah,
me, it was always just like, is this my path? Do I want to do this? If so, we'll figure it the fuck out. Like,
yeah.
everything is fucking figure
And the
outable. For
thing
me,
is
it's
like,
just, it is.
a path that you choose that you don't necessarily like complete is not a bad thing. You
I
know what I mean?
agree.
If you get halfway through it, you go, never mind. Oh no, start something else. Then at least you
Exactly.
know. You know what I mean? I always tell people like when they're picking, they're like, how do I pick a career? How do I decide what I want to do in my life? It's like, dude, it's not like you like pick a career, get to the end, and then like they ring a gong and you beat the game and the credits roll. It's like, bro, you can get all the way through to being completely successful in something and then be like,
No,
guess I'll start over. Look at fucking Snoop Dogg. Look at, look at
I know. My God, great reference.
you know what I mean? He's writing
Yeah.
children's songs. He's doing so much. He's a cooking show. We love him.
Yeah.
It's a good example though, in that like, I very likely will get to a point with tattooing that I'm like, hey, I want to start doing other stuff. I actually
Hmm.
went to school for film. I wanted to be a film director, a comedy director. My film school closed down before I graduated, and it became clear that this was the path I was going to take. But doesn't mean that I'm not going to circle back around to that before I fucking die, because that is like a thorn in my side. I'm like, I gotta go back and do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
um,
Well, it's all identity work, I think, at the end of the day. Like, we look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, for instance. He was like, I am a bodybuilder. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm no longer a bodybuilder. I want to be an actor. And now I'm no longer an actor. Now I want to be a politician. He just like decided. He was like, this is my new identity. This is what I'm choosing. And so for me, it's like that. I just love that idea of, it's like, tattooing is just one iteration of ourselves. It's not our full selves. It's not our full identity, although we take it very fucking seriously when we decide to wear that hat. It's like that. But when we put our hat on for taekwondo or for, education, we're going to put it on 110% if we're going to wear the hat. It's just one of those things, but it's just a part of us. And we get to look at other avenues and look at other pathways that draw us through our hearts, that like lead us to something that we're like nudging towards, and it's just like intuitive. So it's like, follow the nudges, figure it out. If you don't like it, then turn around and find the other nudge. Like that's all life is meant to be lived, because we don't have that long here, and might as well just fucking full send it when you can.
You know what? An example that I give to people a lot is that, okay, season 13 of Ink Master. If we all remember, our finale got canceled because of COVID.
Yes.
So there's no real winner, right? This is how powerful our thinking is. I did mantras every night I was at Ink Master. And I did so much like intention work, and I did so much just like mental conditioning to keep myself sane during that. The night before my last challenge, I wrote in my journal 100 times, I am an Ink Master season 13 finalist.
Mm-hmm.
Shit happened, right? What I didn't write was, I am the winner of season 13 of Ink Master.
Oh shit.
Because I was afraid to want it. I was afraid of writing that down and it not coming true. And it's like, look, and I know it's like people may or may not believe in that kind of law of attraction shit. But the truth remains that you cannot be afraid to want shit. Just do it. Write it down. Make it fucking happen. Because I had another chance to do it this past year. And I still did not win the title of Ink Master. You know what I mean? Like, that's my personal journey. But like the example remains is that, like, dude, who would have thought that COVID would have come in and took the finale away from us? Mm-hmm. Who would have thought? But the truth remains, I didn't win. You know what I mean? And I was afraid.
But you did get what you asked for. You're like, I'm going to be Ink Master season finalist.
I got exactly what I asked for. And I think that you get what you ask for in this life. You really do. On a long enough timeline, you get what you ask for. And that is one of the big pieces of advice that I give to people is like, don't be afraid to want it. Don't be afraid. Yeah. You can want something as hard as you fucking need to. You gotta want stuff, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending time with me and just being badass and just getting me all revved up and ready to go. I'm like, let's do something crazy. So until next time.
You know what? And I'm sure that we'll end up doing some projects together in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
It's inevitable. So, and I actually love spending time with you too. I'm glad that we had this talk.
Yeah,
and I kept worrying about, are we going over time? Like,
oh no overtime. This, I think when it's just flowing, it's just flowing. So I love you. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. And yeah, we'll see. We'll follow you very soon. We'll follow you on all the Instagrams and all the things. Everybody, all of her good stuff will be in the show notes. I'm sure you can sign up for the wait list for Trilogy, because I do believe it's almost sold out. So if you haven't gotten on there yet, you'll be on the wait list for the next time.
Yeah, I'm going to feel like, okay, next time.
It's okay. There's a wait list. Don't worry. You'll figure it out. So we'll do all that. So,
Reese, I love you. And we'll have to keep in contact for more fun stuff.